Women are delusional in dating. I say this as a professional matchmaker and as a woman who lived inside delusion for 43 years. And there are many stories that I will share to illustrate this in service of truth and love. But we need to start with a statistic that knocked me out. So a little context first. As a professional matchmaker, people come to me with lists. Eventually, I hope we see that lists do not lead to love, but that is the trend. If I check off all the things on the list, I will find love. You won't. Anyways, that's another video. So women often had height, and can you guess the other one on the list? Financial security. And that range for them of what was tall enough or what was rich enough varied, but nonetheless, you would see it often. And I will tell you, no one ever said, I have a healthy, happy relationship because I'm with a tall, rich dude. Ever. Never. That is never the thing. Sure, if you like it, it can be a bonus. But let me tell you, you really need to look at that because here's the stat. Are you ready? If you are wanting a gentleman who is 6 feet tall or above and who makes over $150,000 or above, guess what percent of the dating pool you are dealing with? 1%. You've reduced all the men down to 1% left if you are looking for that. And let me tell you, that guy, that 1%, he has a lot of options. And so every woman thinks she's getting this guy. Wait, and that 1%, oh, this is the most important part. That does not include kindness. That does not include intelligence. That does not include emotional availability. That does not include physical attractiveness. It includes nothing that is important in actually making a relationship last. It doesn't include similar values. You've shrunk your dating pool down to 1%. And I'm going to tell you why none of this matters. But before I do that, we need to really let this sink in. And we need to remember this. This is very easy to forget. When you have a bad date or are struggling with anything in relationships, this statistic, once you understand more context, it will put it in perspective for you. So save it so you can refer back to it and share it with your friends. Because women, we need to wake up. 6 foot tall and 150K is not, it's not it.
When the average woman filters out 99% of the population based purely on height and income, she completely ignores the supply and demand dynamic of the dating market. It highlights how hyperfixating on surface level traits blinds people to the real foundations of a lasting relationships like emotional maturity, shared effort, and genuine loyalty. Seeing women run into the wall of their own impossible expectations shows you why screening for realistic, high-character women beats entertaining entitlement every single time.
No question about that.
Who's the actual flake here? You tell me. These two have a date tomorrow. Hey Sarah, it's Peter from Hinge. Hope you're having a great Sunday. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Beautifully done. Confident confirmation. She says, same here. See you then. Seems perfect, right? At 6:05, Peter says, grabbed us 2 seats at the bar. Just wanted to make sure you found the place okay. What a classy move. Gave her 5 extra minutes and assumed the best versus where are you? I don't see you. And she comes back with this. I didn't hear from you at all today, so assumed you weren't showing. I made other plans. Common courtesy is confirming again the same day. Happy to reschedule. Does she not have thumbs? Did she not think last night's confirmation was enough? Could she not use her words? Again, all class. Peter says, oh wow, I assumed our confirmation yesterday meant that we would both be showing up today. I don't want to be rude, but I thought common courtesy was showing up to the plans we arranged. No thanks to rescheduling. Good luck to you. I like Peter. Yeah, no. Way too many flakes for that. Good luck out there. And the sad thing is, she thinks she's right. She thinks, man, I dodged a bullet. She thinks effort is sending a million confirmations when effort is exactly what Peter did, confirming and showing up to the date. Very sadly, it is the people who are the most afraid of getting stood up who stand people up. Hurt people hurt people.
Watching a woman stand a guy up because he didn't send a redundant same-day check-in after already confirming the night before is peak emotional liability. If a grown adult claims that a clear confirmation 24 hours prior wasn't enough, you're looking at someone who uses artificial rules to shift blame for her own flakiness. She created a fake boundary to justify flaking out, expecting the man to jump through extra hoops just to prove his interest. Peter handled it like a boss, because a woman who penalizes you for expecting basic reliability clearly isn't worth a second chance.
It's so useless!
There was a period of time in my marriage where I felt like every time I asked my husband's opinion on something, he would kind of just be like, well, I don't know, or would just be like, well, what do you think? And my husband's a very opinionated person, so I didn't really understand this until I realized that a pretty destructive pattern had taken place in our marriage, and it was this. If your husband has to be in agreement with you in order for there to be peace in your marriage, that is not love, that is control. Now, you can want to change his mind, but you can't make him changing his mind be the thing depending on whether there's going to be peace in your home, because what that is that's punishment, that's manipulation, and that's control. Communication is important. You should definitely voice your side. I believe in passionately trying to convince the other person to see your perspective. And you can even say you want to be understood. But if you say understanding is him being in agreement with you, and if you then punish him or withhold peace in your home, if he doesn't agree with you, then what that becomes is that becomes manipulation. And I have learned that men really value peace to the point that sometimes they'll just say, okay, and you'll think that what you have is agreement, but what you really have is a shut down husband who is no longer showing up as his full self in marriage. And then you get frustrated when you're like, well, why isn't he sharing his opinion? Why doesn't he tell me what he thinks? Because he's learned that it's not safe to share his opinion, and it's not safe to share what he thinks, because if you do disagree, you will punish him by withholding peace in his home. And he values peace in his home so much so that he will sacrifice himself to keep that peace. Again, you can want to change his mind all you want, but you can't make him changing his mind contingent upon whether you're going to bring peace or whether you're going to punish him and take it away.
Hearing a woman break down the exact dynamic of emotional manipulation and passive compliance in marriage gets straight to one of the root causes of why men are checking out of marriage. When a man's opinion is met with micro punishments or a wall of drama until he submits, he stops offering his perspective altogether. Trading his voice just to buy peace in his own house isn't genuine alignment, it's a tactical shutdown under passive control. A man who constantly sacrifices his own mind to appease his wife eventually stops showing up in the relationship entirely.
Why am I not surprised?
A lot of women are just mentally ill when it comes to dating, and someone has to say it, and well, it might as well be me. And I know this is going to trigger some of you, but this is straight up hypocritical behavior that needs to be called out. You don't want the nice guy, so instead you go for the toxic bad boy who treats you like garbage. You'd rather chase the chaos, the drama, and the challenge of trying to fix someone who clearly doesn't want to be fixed. We ignore the green flags from good guys because they feel boring or too available. Make that make sense. Then when the relationship crashes and burns, which it always does, instead of reflecting on the choices and accepting that actions have consequences, you run to your friends, run to the internet, and complain that there are no good men left. But the reality is, you literally chose this. You had options. You had the good guy right there, but he wasn't exciting enough for you. But a lot of you would rather find out the hard way. And while you're choosing drama and toxicity over genuine love and respect, those good guys get swooped up by women who actually appreciate them. You can't reject good men and then act shocked when you're left with trash. So let's just stop blaming all men for the type of men you keep choosing. The problem isn't that good men don't exist, it's that you don't want them.
Bad boys get chosen for excitement while solid guys get passed over for being too available. It proves that attraction isn't driven by logic, it's driven by emotional turbulence. Watching women trade stability for cheap thrills, only to complain when the predictable chaos follows, shows a total lack of self-awareness and accountability. Understanding this dynamic keeps you from playing the audition game, because a high-value man doesn't waste time waiting for someone to finally grow up and appreciate peace.
Of course!
Real men of genius.